If you ever find yourself awake after 2 in the morning in New Westminster and the city feels quieter than it should, listen carefully. Not for footsteps, not for voices, but for the sound that doesn't belong. Front Street runs alongside the Fraser River, a strip of pavement and steel pressed tightly between the water and the rail lines. In the daytime, it looks ordinary, busy, industrial, alive. But Front Street was never meant to sleep peacefully. It was built in death, layer after layer. But the rails, before they existed, before the warehouses, before the concrete, this short one was a place where bodies disappeared. Lot workers crushed between freight cars, men dragged into the river by shifting cargo, laborers swept away during night storms. Their names never recorded, their families never notified, and some of them never left. The first thing people notice is the whistling. It doesn't echo, it doesn't drift. It arrives, already close, low, uneven, tuneless, like someone trying to remember a song they once knew, before they died. Security guards working night shifts near Front Street have reported it for decades. The accounts barely change. The time is always between 2 and 3 a.m. The river is always still. The trains are always distant or stopped completely. And the whistle comes always from behind. One former night watchman who worked the rail yards in the early 2000s said the first night he heard it, he laughed. He assumed it was a drunk man or a worker killing time until he realized something was wrong. The whistle never repeated, not a tune, not a rhythm, just breath forced through teeth with no pattern at all. Then he heard the footsteps, heavy boots, slow, measured, not shuffling, not stumbling, walking with intention. Every time he stopped, they stopped, and every time he moved, they followed. But when he turned around, there was no one there. No shadow, no reflection in the windows, no movement on the tracks. Just a whistling, closer now. Close enough that he could feel breath, cool against the back of his neck. He radioed in, no response. When he spoke out loud, just to hear his own voice, the whistle stopped instantly, as if it had been listening. That detail appears in every account. The whistling stops when you acknowledge it, but that doesn't mean it leaves. Train engineers have reported seeing the figure, always late at night, always near the stretch of the track. A man standing too close to the rails, tall, long coat, heavy work boots, facing away. No reflective gear, no lantern, no light. One engineer said he slowed the train and sounded the horn. The figure didn't move. As the engine drew closer, the man didn't step aside. He began to change, not walking, not turning, stretching. His body limp, like a shadow pulled by a weak light. His legs grew too long for his coat. His back bent downward, unnaturally, like something folding itself away. Then he slipped between the rails, not falling, being taken, as if the ground recognized him. The whistle continued for several seconds after he was gone. That engineer transferred routes the next week. He refused to ever drive that line again. When asked why, he only said, "It wasn't a man, it was a habit." Front Street has a memory, and some memories don't fade. Old records from the late 1800s describe accidents that were never investigated properly. Men crushed during rail expansion, bodies dragged into the river and written off. Temporary workers who vanished overnight. No funerals, no markers, no names, just silence. Locals believe the whistling belongs to one of them, a worker who died suddenly, violently, and unnoticed. Someone whose existence ended without acknowledgement. And now, he walks the same route, night after night, waiting for someone to notice him. But there is a rule. Everyone who works near Front Street knows it. Never whistle back. One cleaner working alone after midnight did exactly that, out of nerves, out of mockery, out of disbelief. He whistled the same broken sound under his breath. The response was immediate. The whistling stopped. The footsteps began, not behind him, beside him, matching his pace perfectly. He said he could feel the rhythm of another walk, syncing with his own, as if something was learning him. The weight of it, the timing, the way his heel struck first. When he stopped, it stopped. When he turned his head, it did not appear. But he could feel it leaning in, listening. He left the building without locking up, quit the next morning, refused to ever return to the side of the city again. When pressed for details, he only said, "It knew how I walk now." Some people say the whistling is getting closer, year by year, that it no longer stays by the river, that it follows people toward the streets, toward the lights, that sometimes you can hear it, even when you're driving with the windows closed. And if you hear it, don't answer it. Do not turn around. Do not try to understand it, because the moment you acknowledge it, you teach it something. Front Street remembers, and it is still counting footsteps.